The biggest story here locally is Garrett Nussmeier and the torso injury that was mentioned in September. And so Brian Kelly, LSU head coach, was asked about it yesterday, and he said, and this is a quote, "That's misinformation. Those rumors are not based on any facts. It's quite silly, actually. Early on, he had an ab strain, not a core injury, in terms of a core injury that we deal with, and it's been slow to heal." He'd go on to say he's on the backside of that, and he's getting rest this week. He'll be the Garrett Nussmeier that he needs to be as we get into the very difficult part of our schedule. Then he goes on. He talks about our training staff and physicians have treated him with medication. That's been part of the procedure and protocols, but we knew coming to this bye week that this was going to be the time for us not to push him. All right, so that's a lot of information in there.
A lot of little nuggets.
The ab strain, not a core injury. Talked about misinformation of having surgery. Said he's on the backside of that. And he did also with his chest out, it feels like. I didn't hear the sound reading these quotes, that he'll be the Garrett Nussmeier that he needs to be as we get into the very difficult part of our schedule.
That's the quote that, like, sticks out to me. Like me and you, we've been in, like, press conferences. We've talked to the media. Like, you watch your words. You pick your words out wisely. You try not to say anything. You try to say something but nothing. So I don't think we'll ever be the people that are going to, like, look too far into coach speak or what a player says to the media, because they're going to say what you want to hear or whatever. But it was interesting to me that he was very strategically, maybe, or very intentional, I'll say. That's a better word for it. Very intentional about saying the Garrett Meyer he needs to be, because it sounded like leading up to the needs to be part, it was going to be he'll be the Garrett Nussmeier that we've come to know, or like he was, or he has been in the past. It's a Garrett Nussmeier he needs to be. What does that mean? It's pretty open-ended. But we all know, like, there's a performance gap between where he's been and what we've seen so far up to this point this year. Now, we've seen flashes of it, of course, but the consistent performance, the consistent decision-making, accurate throws, zip on the ball, all that stuff, of course, has been lacking up to this point. So that was of all, like, the little snippets there, because he's got to answer in some way. He can't pantomime when people ask him questions. You like that? Shador Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can play that one later.
Actually,
I don't even know if we can play that because he didn't say anything.
You play it. Nobody's going to know what's going on.
So for those of you who don't know, Shador Sanders got asked a question yesterday, and he just moved his mouth and didn't say any words. So Brian Kelly cannot do that. He's got to say something. So, like, you don't want to, like, sit here and be a show that's going to, like, well, let's look at this word, look at that word, look at this one. But for him to say he's going to be the Garrett Nussmeier needs to be, and not the Garrett Nussmeier like we've seen in the past, he's back type situation. I don't know. We'll see.
He'd go on to say, Brian Kelly would go on to say, a lot of mental work this week in terms of film study, looking at the things that he's done this year, just doing a really deep dive, offense in particular, the things he can control in the game that he wants to get better at. He would also go on to say he was really good on Saturday with the run game checks and getting the ball out when we didn't have fair numbers. We want to build on that, and then we want to build on his consistency in terms of the pocket. The run game check stuff, it's like, how many times did you run the ball? 20? 21?
So, like, he's really good at the run game checks.
Well, no, I mean, see, like, he was trying to give Nuss an attaboy, but I was like, again, go back to the Monday part, just call it run.
Yeah, just call it run.
I mean, it seems so basic and elementary, but just call a run. Don't check to a run. Don't
yeah, we talked about that. Like, sometimes, and I think Brian mentioned in that, is like getting us out of runs in non-advantageous numbers. Sometimes you go into that non-advantageous number. You just call it run.
Yeah.
So if we're doing good on the run checks, but the run game's still not working, even though it's the right call, he's telling you that still not very good, even though we're in the right play.
Mm-hmm. For me, every run, okay, we're running whatever to the left. Numbers aren't great. The shade's not where we need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you always had we can have those numbers to the right.
Yep.
Like that's the run game checks that you typically used to.
Yep.
But I feel like theirs is we don't have the numbers. Let's get to something behind the line of scrimmage. Like I don't know that to be factual, but it feels like within the offense, that's kind of what it is. Instead of like, let's see if we can get some numbers over here and go from, whatever it might be. You can go from a zone to a gap scheme. You can do that.
Absolutely.
But it feels like theirs is, okay, we don't have the numbers. Let's get it to the receiver at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, usually like a good run check, let's keep it real simple. So 11 personnel, which is?
Alondra?
One running back, one tight end.
Boom, one running back, one tight end. Let's just go a normal 2-by-2 formation. We're just going to think about this in our heads, everybody. So we're going to do let's call a wide right situation. So wide right to me is a little crazy. The tight end is going to be on the line of scrimmage to the right side of the ball. 2 receivers to the left, split out. So you have 6 people there to block some sort of running play.
Yeah.
And you got 1 running back who's going to run the ball. Let's say we call a weak side zone. So we're running to the nub end, which is the side without the tight end. So we're running to left tackle, left guard, center. So you got basically on that side of the line of scrimmage, you have 3 people to block. So usually if there's a 4th person, you can do one of 2 things. You can throw an RPO, or you can make an alert call or a flip call or whatever that your term is and run it to the right side. Let's run it to the tight end side now. And it can be anything. It can be that 4-person count can be anything from a defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, and a drop safety.
Yep.
Which at that point they're in some sort of single high coverage. So that's 4. Or it can be middle linebacker, defensive tackle, defensive end, and just a will linebacker. Or it can be a defensive tackle to the left side, defensive end, 1 will linebacker, and how about the other defensive tackle just shaded touching the center?
Right.
At that point, if he's touching the center, you keep that in your count.
Yep.
So that means it's non-advantageous for that. So we would flip it to the other side and run. And so now at that point, you got 4 people. Now you got the center, right guard, right tackle, and tight end to block what should be 4, not 5.
Yeah.
Now, if they're able to shove a 5th person into that box to make the count bad, it is so clustered in there, it's still an okay run. You can still get 3-4 yards right there. It's better to run to a tight end when it's non-advantageous numbers, just because there's so many bodies in there that 5th person can get washed. Right. Or it can get cloudy. He won't have a free run. But a lot of times in this world of football right now, it's all right. So if my numbers aren't correct to the weak side run, to the nub end, okay, man, I think that's non-advantageous look. Yes, that's a 4th person in my count, but man, it's a safety at 7 yards.
Yeah.
It's not a safety in up
tight. You got to kind of leave him for the back.
Just leave him for the back sometimes.
That back on scholarship has to make that guy miss.
The problem I have is it seems like a lot of times the answer is, instead of doing it, I'm going to throw a wide receiver screen behind the line of scrimmage to the wide side of the field and make my blocking wide receiver hold the block for 2 seconds, one-on-one with the pressed corner.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Now, I'm not saying that's every time. I know they have more answers than that, but that's the one that sticks out in my mind all the time. Sometimes you just got to flip it. You got to alert it, keep a run on against the non-advantageous number.
Yep. Because it's not always going to be perfect, and we can get into that a little bit.
I want to say my word usage of the word advantageous was at 7 or 8 that segment.